Everyone, welcome to History on Trial. This is Dr. Tracy McCarthy, psychologist, attorney, and educator. We're going to be looking at who are the Bantus and the Zulus. Now, what has taken place over time is a significant amount of historical revision. And so you have basically some lying going on historically and the rewriting of history. And much of this has to do with the social construct of race. And so individuals have been indoctrinated into this belief that you can understand race based upon phenotype, and that has created a significant amount of confusion and distraction away from the realities of race. And race is directly tied to genetics and family ties. And so one of the things that has happened is that these genetics and family ties have been obscured by this focus on phenotype, which is used to divide people and distract people. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at some interesting identity dynamics related to the Bantus and the Zulus by looking at some ancestry information that might be surprising for many people. Just a quick overview of the Bantu people. The Bantu people are comprised of approximately 85 million speakers of multiple distinct languages in the Bantu subgroup of the Niger-Congo language family. Now, some people think that these are specific ethnic or racial groups, but it's really supposed to be based upon these language families. And what you have here from Britannica is a discussion of the Zulu. And the Zulu are in South Africa, and they are considered a branch of the Southern Bantu. What's interesting is that most people attribute Bantu to parts of Africa, primarily Southern Africa, Western Africa. However, you can see that this Bantu surname is primarily found in India. This is another one of those interesting dynamics where you have all of this conflation going on between Africa and India. And so you see this surname is most prevalent in India with the highest density in the DRC. And here you can see these numbers in terms of the surname. You see 18,000 people in India with this surname and only 9,000 in the DRC, and then the numbers go down. The next highest number is, interestingly, Indonesia. What's also interesting is there is some genomic evidence of an Austronesian and Bantu admixture. And here you can quickly check out the diversity in terms of phenotypes for Austronesian individuals. And you can see individuals have a range. Up in the upper left-hand corner, you see an individual who actually looks like a stereotypical Native American person identified as Native American. Then off to the right, you see an individual who almost looks Melungeon. And then you see individuals at the bottom who also look stereotypically Austronesian. Now we're going to quickly go over some of this surprising, unusual research related to the Bantu surname. So we saw that this surname is primarily found in India as opposed to Africa, where you would presumably find it. And what's interesting when you look at census data from approximately 100 years ago in the United States, you see that the Bantu surname is also related to individuals who are racially identified as white. And so you see James Bantu identified as white. Here you see an entire Bantu family, all identified as Mexican racially. And this is from the 1930 census. And this is out of Texas. And here you have another white Bantu family, and this is coming out of Queens, New York, and this is in 1920. And then we jump over to the Zulus, and this is in the 1930 census, again for New York, and you see an entire family of Zulus, and all of the Zulus are identified as white. Again, 100 years ago, coming out of New York, you see Dominic Zulu and family members, and all are identified as white. You also have some Zulu people living in Michigan And this is from the 1930 census, and you see an entire family of Zulu individuals also identified as white. And here you have the 1930 census coming out of Vermont, and again you have a Zulu family all identified as white. Now, of course, we don't have the phenotype descriptions of any of these family members at the present time. However, what is very clear is that you have individuals identified as Bantu and Zulu by surname, and these individuals are identifying or being identified as white individuals or Mexican individuals versus African individuals. And so this leads to an increased understanding of how these dynamics related to racial realities can become obscured, and how these obscurities can be used to confuse people and histories throughout time. Remember, knowledge is power. Take care. See you soon.